Good day, everyone. This is your host, Paul Lawrence Vann, and I'm honored to be here with you today. And thank you so much for being with us. Those of you who are live and those of you who will be on the archive. This is a grand day, and it's a grand day because we have just an exceptional guest expert, and her name is Karen Lee Cohen. So, welcome to the Wealth Academy podcast, where we believe that wealth is more than just money. It's about peace, purpose, and personal growth. I'm your host, Paul Lawrence Vann, and today I'm honored to welcome a true visionary, Karen Lee Cohen, an 8-time regional Emmy Award winning producer, former director of programs for WNBC TV New York, and founder and president of Crystal Pyramid Productions. Karen's work has always reflected her deep belief as a force for enlightenment and transformation. Her latest collaborative book, Let's Be Peace 20 Unique Paths to Healing Yourself and Spreading Peace in the World, invites us all to look inward and discover how peace begins within. Karen, it's such an honor to have you here. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today, Karen?
I'm doing fabulous. Thank you so much, Paul, and thank you for that beautiful introduction. I
Well,
appreciate you.
thank you very much. And I'm really honored to have you here. And people are going to learn a lot about you, the great work that you're doing, the transformations that you have in others' lives, and of course, the amazing book that you have, Let's Be Peace. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Are you ready, Karen?
I am ready.
All right, here we go. Now, you've had an extraordinary career, as I mentioned before, an 8-time regional Emmy Award winner, director of programs for WNBC TV New York, and founder of Crystal Pyramid Productions. How has your journey in television shaped your understanding of how stories can heal, enlighten, and transform lives?
I learned early on that storytelling was the best way for people to absorb what is going on in the world. Very famous comedian who I won't mention because he's on the bad on the naughty list. But he's professionally someone I respected, and he always said that we you can teach more, you can reach more people by telling stories. And he did a lot of entertainment shows, and so I knew that very early on intuitively. In local television, we do a lot of documentaries and talk shows and things like that. But even those have storytelling platforms because it's about people and their stories.
Yes, it absolutely is. And it gives us that opportunity to make an even deeper connection as well.
Yes.
And you've seen a lot being in the TV industry, like you have as that director. What have been some of what you would consider some of the more interesting aspects of people making that connection, so we can help those who are listening to understand the importance of communication and connecting?
What a good question. I mean, it's really telling a balanced story. And that's something that from very early on in my producing career. And obviously, I didn't start out as a producer. I worked my way up from production assistant to associate producer to producer. But I learned that the more we are able to be kind to people and to tell their story, the the better they will do in the programming and the better that the audience will be able to relate to them. So it's been a journey of learning how people can best benefit. And I even produced news many moons ago, and the vast majority of people in the media really are there because they want to do a balanced story.
Sure.
And that's what I respect in the people that I worked with, some wonderful people in New York at WNBC TV, um, and people who just are there to tell the story the best they can with as many facts as possible. I worked I did a pilot with a group at the National Enquirer, and I'm telling that story only because they had had quite a reputation. But the reality is when I first met with the people there, they every story they did, and I'm going back quite a few decades, so I'm speaking from the past. Every story they did had three confirmations, or it wouldn't get into the paper. And I've always thought that that was a minimum that we should do when we're telling stories, especially in the news.
I totally agree. Because, in other words, you conduct research, then we're going to go a level deeper, conduct some more research to make sure that we can tie that story together and that it has legs. Legs meaning that it's certified and verified to go forward.
That makes me want to tell you something else, and that's I hope your audience appreciates this with all the AI out there.
Oh, yeah.
3 years ago, I took a workshop, and the man who ran it said, if you treat AI like a really bad assistant that you have to watch over, that you have to ask give very specific
Right.
instructions,
Uh-huh.
and that whatever the answer is, you need to know enough about it that you'll know whether it's true or not.
Absolutely.
And I have found that to be such a wonder, and I love using AI for research. It's, and for promotion
Absolutely.
for my book and other things. And I have found that that's, if I just keep in mind that you have to be very specific, you have to not trust that the answer is right, because I certainly have had AI give me inaccurate questions. So it's just taking the time to use it and check it just like you would an assistant. Um,
Absolutely.
and you can use it well.
And that's what we call that confirm and verify.
Yes, that's
That's just like our military missions in the Pentagon. We need to really think this through. Are we sure? We ask that 100 times because what's
yeah,
at stake?
yeah.
And so it's to confirm, verify, and rinse and repeat. Consistency. And AI has told me some things about myself that I know not to be true. I know about myself.
Me too.
And that's what Karen is trying to share with us all who are listening is that you have to be sure. It gives you a quick response, but it may not be accurate.
Right.
Fantastic. So thank you. Everybody needs that AI lesson, Karen. Everyone.
It just came to me to share that, so I'm glad you appreciate it.
Absolutely, I do. Karen, what was the spark that inspired Let's Be Peace, your amazing book? Was there a defining moment or inner calling that led you to create this collective message of healing and harmony for your collaborative effort or contribution?
It actually wasn't my maiden effort. The first book that I wrote was my memoir, and
Right.
it was a prescriptive memoir called "It's About Time," my award-winning TV adventure. And
Yes.
in it, there was a lot of pictures. It was a lot about my career, and
Huh?
I also had I wrote to a lot of colleagues and friends and relatives and asked them to give me their memories, and that's in the book too. But the last two chapters of the book, one was about my healing journey and my angels, and well, one was about my travels, and I knew that healing is such an important topic to me. It has been for many decades. Um, so I was going to do a sequel that would expand on my angels and guides and on my healing journey and what got me into alternative and complementary medicine.
Yes.
And then I took a writing workshop from a wonderful woman named Sarah Connell. And one of the things that became obvious to me when I was taking the workshop is that I really needed the next book to not be a sequel. It could be certainly lead out from my book, but I
Sure.
knew that I wanted people to really know about these alternative complementary medical procedures,
Sure.
practitioners. And to do that, I realized I had to make it a collaborative book. I had to
Sure.
talk to the real people. Um, and so I did. And just miraculously, just an extraordinary group of 20 people came together to be part of it, and
Mhm.
I gave people an option to write a chapter to answer the questions that I post, or for me to do Zoom interviews with them and then transcribe it and do their chapters. And I ended up doing the majority of people wanted me to do the Zoom interviews.
Of
And
course.
that, as you know, worked really well because then it gave me an opportunity to go away from the actual question and ask them more. So the the way it came about was really just very organic. You know, I went from my memoir, which many people had said, Karen, you've got to do your memoir, and I'm sure they've said that to you too, Paul.
Absolutely.
Uh, and then the pandemic came, and I went, this is a good time to sit down and
Absolutely.
do it. So
Timing is everything.
yeah, it really was. I now listen to my angels or whatever people might think their inner voice is. Um, well, my angels and my inner voice, and I realized throughout my life how present those
Yeah.
uh,
And, and,
intuitive.
and the thing about it, Karen, I would love for you to share even more about the angels because a lot of people don't believe it actually exists, but you and I know that it does. We know that it does. We
Oh
know
my
that
gosh, yes.
inner voice. We know about that. Let's share just a little bit more about that.
Well, I actually I now realize that my angels and guides have been with me since birth, and I have too many stories for the amount of time you have. But about almost 10 years ago now, I was listening to a radio show and I heard uh, a woman named Sue Storm, who is in the book, the
Okay.
Let's Peace book. And she calls herself the Angel Lady. And one of the things she offered as a gift was when you do a session with her, she tells you who your angels are. She gives names.
Oh, wonderful.
So I was actually given Archangel Michael and Archangel Gabriel as my two birth angels that have always been with me.
Wonderful.
So I learned. I can encourage your audience to find Sue Storm, the Angel Lady. She's
Yes.
either by reading my book or by going on the internet. But the what I learned as I was writing the memoir and working with Sue is to when I started putting names to the angels, like right now my next book is Joy and is Let's Be Joy, and Joseph is the angel of joy. So when I wake up in the morning, I say, "Okay, Joseph, let's get to work."
Absolutely. Absolutely. Making it active, manifesting. Yes.
And it's acknowledging the everyday miracles. You
For
know, the
sure.
fact that I'm on your show. Why am I on your show, Paul? We just
Right.
happen to meet each
It's not
other.
happen chance. It's not happen chance. I tell anybody it's not happen chance. It was going to happen. It was written in the book of life
Yes.
before we arrived.
Oh, long before.
Long before, absolutely. Well,
But
thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm like you. I believe the same thing. And I'm just going to share a real fast story here to kind of collaborate what you're saying. And that when I was in high school, it was Thanksgiving 1975, football season that ended in high school, and I became sick that Thanksgiving week. And at that time, there was a communicable uh, illness that was going around, and I caught it and I ended up in the hospital for 7 days. And I just couldn't figure it out. I'm a big, strong guy, football player. How in the world? Well, I took my sister to see her boyfriend in the hospital. My mom went as well. And of the three of us, I caught it, hepatitis. And I ended up in the hospital for 7 days. I lost 20 pounds.
wow.
And the thing I did on the second day of hospitalization, I picked the Bible out of the desk that was bedside and I read it from beginning to end. And the Spirit started speaking to me. You're going to be fine. You're going to get your health back. I want you to go back to your home church. I want you to baptize yourself and give your life to Christ. You're going to go to this college, you're going to major in this. And I did everything that the Spirit spoke into me, poured into me. And sure enough, I've been on that journey since that day, that week, Thanksgiving week of 1975. That was me going through redemption in life. Not that I had been a bad person, except I knew I wanted more out of life, and if that's what it took for me to come into that realization, I was willing to do it.
It was not an accident
It was not an accident.
that
Yes,
you got it and that you recovered from it and then you learned your journey. My journey is, spiritual, and
yeah,
it's just one of the things I talk about in the book is that we all have our own GPS system.
absolutely.
And I just use it because it's GPS, it's our internal.
Amen.
Yeah, it's our internal, our instincts. And one of the things I've learned, and part of that's, why Let's Be Peace has so many different modalities in it,
Mhm.
is that we are our best. Um, I call it our best doctor, but I encourage people to have teammates,
Yes,
medical and practitioners, and but know that the choices are up to us. And that when we learn how to get in touch with ourselves, and I have a bunch of peace tips that your audience can go to letsbepeace.com and get a complimentary copy of. But when you learn how to quiet yourself, to be calm, and to listen, the answers are there.
absolutely.
Whether it's your angels, your guides, the answers are all, I believe, are all inside of us.
I
And
believe it as
and
well.
and we haven't necessarily been taught to trust that. And one of the things I talk about the book and all my social media is love and trust yourself.
Yes,
We love and trust ourselves, we can accomplish so much more than
absolutely.
and if we put our faiths in the hands of others. And so whatever the choices are, it's encouraging people to know that it is our choice, that whatever we decide to do, it's fine to listen to the team, what I call the teammates,
Sure.
but make conscious choices for what is best for you, because only you know your body.
That's very true.
Doctors can, there's all kinds of wonderful technology now
Sure.
that will help with that. But it's not one size fits all. We
It's
are
very
all
true.
very, very individual. And, a doctor or practitioner can only guess so far. They need your input to help them decide what the best help you decide what the best methods are. So,
Absolutely.
it's encouraging, and all the people in the book also. One of the questions that I had everybody answer is, what does your own best doctor mean? So, part of the reason there's such a cohesive um, response in the book is it was very specific questions that everybody answered. They answered it from their own modality point of view and their own personal point of view, but there's themes that come up when you're reading it.
Absolutely. I tell you, I'm just really enjoying this because I know what you're talking about. You're providing the listeners with just some concrete expertise that many people, they're probably sitting there saying, I needed to hear this. I needed to hear this. And so it's really a beautiful a way of sharing that expertise. And as you stated, going within, being mindful and knowing that when it comes to we receive from source and we are a source as well. And that's how that collaboration comes in that you were talking about a little bit earlier. Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a look at collaboration. You had mentioned that before. And of course, your book brings together 20 unique contributors. What was your vision behind curating the voices and how that you weave the stories into one harmonious message? In other words, you interviewed a lot of the collaborators, collaborators and the contributors, and how do you get everything to gel to come out to be the work of art that it happens to be?
Thank you. That really helped. It was the questions that kind of
Questions.
the one thing that everybody had to answer. I said out of the questions, the one thing that what "Let's Be Peace" means to you and how you advise uh, the readers to be peace. So everybody had that, but
Sure.
most of it is really stuck to the questions. What does your own best doctor mean to you? And it I guess if there was any molding, that's what it was. It was based on the question. I had 11 questions that I gave everybody. They didn't have to answer all of them, but most people did. And it also gave them a chance to not only explain their modality, but one of the questions is, how would you advise our readers to find somebody who does a similar modality close to them? Now that so many people do things on um, virtually,
Sure.
most people could go to most of them, but I also wanted to make sure that people knew these are 20 people who are extraordinary what they do, but there are hundreds of others out there. And so each collaborator was able to speak about what it is that they do that the reader can look for in their own town, in their when, on the internet.
Community. Uh-huh.
So it's a way for them to be able to move forward with whatever modality or modalities that they find interesting. And one of the biggest things that we talk about a lot is again, it's um, one one answer doesn't fit all. You need need
Absolutely.
to you need to really see what it is that you want. And if you go to somebody and it doesn't resonate with you,
Mhm.
it's okay to say no. Okay,
Sure.
I no longer want to talk to you. Most of us were not trained to be that independent in our choices. And
Mhm.
it's really important for people to know that it's what works for them is not necessarily going to be what works for somebody else. And that they need to be in charge of their own choices.
Absolutely. I totally agree. But when I look at that title, Let's Be Peace, I mean, it speaks for itself. It really does. And for people, some people hear things, but that doesn't mean they've listened to things. Right. And so
Right.
listening really comps hearing because a person may hear something and it, fly on right from one side of the ear to the other, out of the other ear. But truly listening is taking time, empathy, understanding, and it goes back to the word you used earlier, kindness. Kindness is everything. It's everything.
In my memoir, I give my mother a lot of the credit. She always taught us to be good listeners, both
Yes,
me and my sister, and that has served me well throughout my
absolutely.
life.
Absolutely. So you mentioned earlier about the prescriptive memoir. Uh, it's about time, my award-winning TV adventure. How are you as to writing it and what prescriptive memoir is? In other words, when we look at that itself, a lot of people don't understand what prescriptive writing is, but how was it for you to write it?
Well, prescriptive memoir is simply, as opposed to just writing about yourself in a memoir,
Sure.
you, what I did, and that's what made it prescriptive, is I stopped and I explained what a producer does, what a director does.
Mhm.
There's, what network television is versus syndicated television versus local television.
Right.
So when you read my memoir, which hopefully you will,
That's
um, you get a feel for the television business as through my perspective. It's not, and
sure.
through my journey. So that makes it a prescriptive memoir rather than just my stories.
Totally. Yes.
And I'm very involved with Columbia College in Chicago, which is where I graduated from.
Okay.
And the memoir came from was during the pandemic, and we were on a Zoom call with students who were about to graduate, and we were giving them our wisdom. This is
Sure.
I'm on the National Alumni Board,
Uh-huh.
and for
So,
whatever reason, I put one of my Emmys on my table.
Uh-huh.
And again, that was just guided. I had never done that before.
Uh-huh.
And so that kind of turned the conversation. So a lot of the breakout room that I was conducting was people moving to relocating. But anyway, so it the several of the students in that breakout room said, "Oh, well, you got to write a book about how to win an Emmy." And
A great question, by the way. A big,
it,
great statement.
it's a great STEM. I said, there's two
Yeah,
reasons. Number one, you can't quantify it. And number two, the Television Academy would never let me use the word Emmy in the title, which,
exactly.
which I later got confirmed. It was a big no. I could use it
Oh,
in the book, but not in the front or the back.
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
it was
Trademark.
it was, yeah, exactly. It
Mhm.
was just the push that I needed, that to
Exactly.
say, okay, maybe now's the time to do it. And again, I just got the thought that, well, why don't I write before I wrote a bit of the book, I wrote, I sent emails to, probably about 60 or 70 colleagues and friends,
Mhm.
and said, just send me a memory, if you have a memory about us. And that turned out to be so much fun. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And what I ended up doing with it, at the end of a chapter that that had something to do with what the person's memory was,
Mhm.
I put their memory. So it didn't. I wrote my chapter, and then the memories followed, and that turned out to be a fun.
Oh, absolutely.
I
And
mean,
that's so creative as well. Very creative.
think, well, the angels talk to me all the time.
Exactly. Exactly.
I won't take credit because I do take credit, but I'm so geared to now looking back and going, well, I've had a pretty good life, and I have a, a lot of entities to thank for that, and I do, and I realized that I had not believed in angels when I was younger.
Mhm. Mhm.
I wasn't raised to, and I didn't think it applied to people of the faith that I was raised in.
Good.
And I now look back and I know that my angels were with me. Well, and this you might be interested in. I have an aunt. I had an aunt, may she rest in peace, who
Mhm.
said to me when I was probably in my 20s, she said, it was so interesting. You could sit on the beach by yourself for hours. You
Mhm.
were such an unusual child that way, and just entertain yourself. And then when I look back at that, that made me realize that I was probably talking to my angels and guides.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. And again, that differentness. And because you were different, most kids be running on the beach, jumping in the water, throwing sand, kicking sand, whatever it may be. But
Mhm.
you were aligned.
Yeah,
You had a trinity working with you, and other people. And your aunt, what happened? She observed that.
yes.
She probably knew what it was, but you
Well,
know.
I don't know. I mean, I'll have to ask her, even though she's on the other side.
Exactly, exactly. But she probably knew because she's saying, "Hmm." Now, me, I'm one of 10 kids. I'm a keen observer because most of my siblings are younger than me, eight of them. So it made me a really good listener and a observer. I observe things. And,
Sure.
and so that's one of the gifts that I had. And then I had a gift of dreams where I could dream something and it would happen. And I still have that.
Oh,
That's one of my spiritual gifts.
and did you know that when you were very young? Did
I,
you
I
put that
found
together?
my parents went to the company Christmas party, and my mom's sister, my aunt, she kept my older sister and I. And she said, Paul, wake up. She said, you're having a nightmare. And she said, what were you dreaming about? I said, I dreamed mom and dad was in a car accident. And sure enough, it snowed. They didn't know it was going to, but it snowed. They came back and they had a car accident. And the sheriff brought them home.
Wow.
I had dreamed of it. Yeah,
And that would be called being psychic in today's term, don't you think?
exactly. Yes. But I can, even to this day, I still have dreams and they actually happen. I find myself in the dream and I'm like, wait a minute, I've been here before. But a lot of other people do the same thing.
Are you do you manifest from those dreams, you think?
I think a lot of times I do.
Nice.
Yes, absolutely. I'm
Thanks for sharing
thankful.
that. That's very special. Yeah.
Yes. Let's talk about healing from within. I know you mentioned it earlier, and your book, of course, emphasizes healing yourself as a foundation for spreading peace. What are some of the most effective practices or lessons that have helped you nurture your own inner peace?
Well, they're all in the tips. If you go to
All right, go
my
to
website
tips.
and get the
And where,
complimentary
and where can we get the tips? Let's
at letspeakpeace.com,
yes,
and just you sign in with your email, and then you can download the complimentary list of tips. I've journaled for many, many years. That's one of them for decades and decades. Um, I my gratitudes. One of the things that I do in the morning before I get out of bed is I wake up and thankful. I'm grateful for so many things. And sometimes I mention people and I mention things and so the gratitudes have been very important in my evolution. There's breathing exercise, which if we have time, I'd like to just kind
sure,
of you and I
absolutely,
do to show
absolutely.
the audience. There's a breathing technique that is either 4-4-4-4, where you breathe in for 4, you hold for 4, you breathe
Or,
for
uh,
4, and
mhm.
then you hold for another 4. Or it's for some people it's easier to do. You breathe in for 4, you hold for 7, and then you breathe out for 8.
Uh,
Should we try that together?
sure.
And one of the things that a friend of mine started to do, she uses whenever she's doing accounting, as opposed to say, one I forget what the normal is, because now it's like I do 1 let's be peace, 2 let's be peace, 3 let's be peace, 4 let's be peace. So that's my counting method. So I'm
Absolutely.
I'm I'm going to use that. So audience, please do this with us.
Yes,
Breathe in for 4. 1 let's be peace, 2 let's be peace, 3 let's be peace, 4 let's be peace. Hold for 4. 1 let's be peace, 2 let's be peace, 3 let's be peace, 4 let's be peace. Breathe out for 4. 1 let's be peace, 2 let's be peace, 3 let's be peace, 4 let's be peace, and hold for 4. 1 let's be peace, 2 let's be peace, 3 let's be peace, 4 let's be peace. And you can really use any
uh,
combination that you want. But the point is that when you stop to breathe, it helps calm your inner self and
yes,
and helps you move on. One of the things in the promotions that I'm doing on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook is to remember to forgive yourself and to forgive others.
absolutely.
A lot of us um, have trouble doing that, until we really consciously go, it is so much healthier
Mhm.
if we forgive whatever the situation is. It's not saying that we're agreeing with it, but it's for
Uh-huh.
our own sake.
It's for our own sake, exactly. And what's interesting, Karen, and I know you're not going to be surprised, is if you were to look at my Facebook post, I always put a daily Facebook post or a story, and a lot of what you're talking about is what I have posted.
We aren't Facebook friends yet. I'm going to have to
Yeah,
correct that.
yeah. A lot of it, it has been posted in a forum, and I talk to people about loving themselves, and I said not in a selfish way, but in a way that when you look at your physical body, in many ways it's a house and we're inside the house. We have a spirit inside that house. And so we
Exactly.
can control those things. And you just mentioned it earlier, and you're saying to hold it, because what that does, it kind of isolates anything from the outside. And all the external things that happen in the world that we don't have control over, uh, it may not be our business, right?
Good
but
book.
our internal self is our business, and
Yeah.
we are to control everything in there. And I tell people, happiness. Okay, so you're expecting someone to make you happy. I said you can only make yourself happy. Other people can make you feel good. They know that you care, but ultimately the responsibility for happiness is on you. It is on me. Of
Absolutely. And joy too, which is
course.
why my
Of course.
next book is going to be Let's Feel It Joy.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you for sharing that. And I think it's just so powerful. And it definitely aligns with Let's Be Peace for sure.
And I encourage your audience before they answer their emails or do anything else to try do the breathing exercise and center yourself. 'Cause one of the things since I've been doing this, I'm much more careful in what my answers are and how I respond to things when I calm myself and do the breathing exercise before I respond.
Yes, absolutely. That's a really a great tip. And so go to letsbepeace.com and download those tips, provide your email and get those tips and help yourself because we can help ourselves. And Karen is trying to help us with it this evening. And we're appreciative of her for this. So when we look at everyday peace and action, for those listening who feel overwhelmed by the world's challenges, what are a few simple yet meaningful ways they can begin spreading peace in their daily lives?
Well, it's pretty much what we talked about.
Talked about earlier, yes.
The breathing exercises, the forgiveness, the gratitudes. Um,
Silence,
it's
yes.
not right, absolutely calming yourself, just taking the time to really
Mhm.
understand what it is that you're doing, to look at. And one of the things about the book and my great feeling is that we're going to have peace in
Yeah,
the world, one person at a time.
absolutely.
You
Totally agree.
You are a peaceful person, Paul, and when I talk to you, I'm more peaceful. And when I'm more peaceful, the people around me are more peaceful. And I think that, I mean, if we start saying it's not the outside, we
Yes,
have the power inside to be
inside.
peaceful inside
Yes,
and and to spread peace that way, one person at a time.
one person at a time. And
It-
Karen and I talked about this before on the pre-call. And one of the things, the purposes of that pre-call, we found out that we were actually doing the interview during the pre-call. And now we have arrived at this destination and we are confirming what we talked about in the pre-call.
yes, and
So
I'm grateful
we're,
to you.
yeah, I'm grateful for you as well. So we're having peace right now because she calms me down. The breathing exercise just brought me and I got centered. Those of you who are listening were centered as well. And we want more of that. And as Karen stated, one person at a time. And you know we need peace.
Yes, we do. And it's not like it's difficult or it's
Sure.
easy. It just is, and it's just learning to love and trust yourself. And that's something that daily I continue to remind myself.
Absolutely. And
Trust
and one
that it
one
remains.
yes, and one thing that the spirit was speaking to me at this moment is that peace, calmness, kindness never changes. Is that we have to adjust to it. Calm is always going to be calm. Peace is always going to be peace. It's waiting for us to catch up with it.
Yeah. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you, Paul.
Oh, thank you.
So much
But
of
see,
it.
it's Karen's spirit is really speaking to me. And I know it's speaking to you all who are listening, especially those of you on the archive. And so listen as opposed to just hear what she's saying. Let's really listen.
Yeah.
Isn't listening beautiful?
And then the silence is beautiful. Don't be afraid to. That was something that I appreciated even when I was very young. I remember, when I was, I would be out with somebody, and I always knew it was a good match if we could have our silence, if we could be in silence together. And when we couldn't, I knew it wasn't a match for me.
Absolutely.
It's something, Paul, that I didn't remember until right now. So thank you for bringing that out. I used to always make some of my decisions of who I spent time with based on, whether we could be comfortable in our silence.
Yes, that's wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. And thank you so much. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the celebrities that Karen has worked with over the years in her capacity as a director with television and other businesses that she's been with. So, Karen, I would be remiss if I did not ask you some of the celebrities you've worked with and how they might have framed your leadership style. And irregardless of who is listening in their generation, if you have not heard about some of these celebrities, do some research on them. Research is always good. That's what my professor told me. So, Karen, you have the floor.
Well, I was really blessed. I've lived in Los Angeles twice, and the first time I lived here, and I was still I worked for Bob Hope. I was production assistant for Bob Hope and for Jeff
Yes,
Reese, uh, and I did a show with Rod Serling, the wonderful.
absolutely.
Um, I just forgot the name of his. Not Outer
Oh,
Limits.
yeah, Della Reese.
Della Reese had a music variety show that I worked on.
Yes.
Della was one of the most extraordinary humans I have ever known to this day. And fortunately for me, we stayed friends over the years, and I got to know her. And in years later, when she married Franklin Lett, I got to know him. In terms of leadership, is kindness. I
Yeah,
mean, that's really. Um, I mean, Della, of all the people that I worked with, was one of the most kind, and she was also in later years she was a minister. I
yeah.
worked with Jane Seymour, who's very bright, and Jane is one of the is really into holistic health. Her father was a doctor, and they really promote holistic.
Listen, yes. I just really enjoy seeing her acting is really remarkable. She has a great persona as well, her personality. And it really stands out. It really, when
Absolutely. And
that stands out.
she's that way in person.
Oh,
We
yeah.
we did a show called Healthy Living together, and she was just a joy to work with. Um,
There's just been so
I,
many.
More recently, Al Roker.
Yes, Al Roker.
He's
Everybody, Uncle, we call him Uncle Al.
Uncle Al. I don't call him Uncle, but yeah.
Oh yeah, Uncle Al. Everybody. That's what the people on the show call him. Yeah.
Oh, they um many years ago we did when I was still in New York, we did a pilot for him to have his own talk show, which he does now, but that didn't happen. But we spent a lot of time together, and one of the things that just was extraordinary to me,
Mhm.
we'd be walking down the street, and the bus drivers would stop and get out to say hello to him.
Absolutely.
That's the kind of impact he has on people, and he still is extraordinary.
Absolutely.
So I've been very blessed with and I worked out here. I did a special with Jewel, the singer, and
Yes.
she's
Yes. I like Joel.
yeah, she's wonderful and very much
That's
into
so talented.
talented and has a heart of gold and
Oh.
really takes care of people and
Mhm.
most of her life she's been helping out. Even when she was living out of her car, she was always very
Oh.
conscious
But
of
see, that living out of the car just brings so much more. I tell people failure is not final, it's a lesson, and she learned from the lesson, like we all do. And a
yeah.
lot of, yes.
I am sure that is correct. Anyway, she was extraordinary. I'm not in touch with her, but I really was grateful to have worked with her. It just the the kinds of people that you come in contact with in the television, some are delightful and some are not so delightful. And so part of the lesson is just learning how to deal with the personalities. And
Absolutely.
I talk a little bit about that. I don't really put down anybody, but I do give an example of someone who I just adored. Um, and when I was doing the Bob Hope show and when I met her in person, she was not very nice.
I understand. But that happens, and it's like people talk about the military. Of course, I was in the military 22 years, and they said, "What is the military?" They said it's a subset of society. So you have people coming from all corners of the country and some parts of the world, and you're going to have some good experiences and not so good experiences. It all comes down to how you navigate the journey, and that's what it.
And that's one of it's in the book, but it's also one of the messages is that it's really not what happens, it's how we react to what
Back
happens.
to it. Absolutely.
To stay peaceful and calm. It's to look at something without letting it
Yeah,
harm us.
absolutely. I totally agree. And one of the things that I look at is that when it comes to life, we are life. And I tell people the greatest gift that we will ever receive personally is life.
Oh,
And then what we do with life is on us because everyday life is teaching us something new, is whether we are able to embrace it or understand it. It's kind of how it all comes together. And so I tell people, I said, well, life is not, I keep telling people, even today, I said, this is the greatest time to be alive because great things are going to happen. It's whether or not you're ready to engage with it or not.
well, and I do believe we're in
Yeah,
spite of everything on the outside,
absolutely.
we are in a very evolutionary time where we are growing and there are more people who think the way you and I are speaking today than there ever was in time. And things are kind of coming up to be dealt with.
Yeah,
Um, and and then things are going to be better than ever.
absolutely. I totally agree. And again, these lessons that we're learning along the way is going to help us to make better decisions. It's going to bring us closer together because in the end, with peace, there's unity.
Yes.
And they kind of go hand in hand. And once we come to that alignment, we're on our way. And it's just a matter of time. It's
I
just a matter of time. So
couldn't
we're
agree.
getting, so we're getting down to the end here, Karen. Our last question is about legacy and next steps. And as you reflect on your remarkable career, of which it is, and the impact of Let's Be Peace, what legacy do you hope to leave? And what's next for you to continue this journey of telling your amazing stories and the transformation as well?
Well, I've come to believe that my mission and purpose in this life is spreading peace.
Yes.
So that is what I consider my legacy, and hopefully, Let's Be Peace will 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 help that legacy go on. The next book, it's going to end up being a trilogy. The next book is Let's Be Joy, which will be very similar to Let's Be Peace, but
Sure.
more stories about joy and
Mhm.
what it's like to be joy and what it's like to and advice for people on how to be joy. And I'm learning from everybody who I've interviewed and have some really interesting people who are involved in things that are a little bit less traditional that's in the Let's Be Peace book. So I'm just grateful to
Mhm.
be in a position to be able to talk to people like you, Paul, and your audience, and to
Oh,
be able to to spread peace and help alternative and complementary health and wellness has long been my passion. And
yeah.
there was a time where we were attempting to do a television network and that didn't happen. So the book kind of replaced that. But someday
Sure.
I hope to be involved in a probably streaming service where we're letting people know there's so many alternatives and there's just nothing right or wrong. Just listen
It-
to what's available.
there's really no limits
No, there are
because
no.
of the abundance of the universe.
Read.
All right. So thank you so much, Karen. It was really an honor to have you here. And your message is both timely and timeless. You've reminded us that peace isn't just something we talk about, it's something we practice, live, and share with others. Your work and your words continue to inspire so many people to reconnect with their higher selves and with humanity at large. So, thank you very much for being a guiding light and for joining us on Wealth Academy podcast today. It has been an honor, my honor, to interview you and for my audience to hear your message and your transformative message. And let's be peace because the world needs it more today than ever before.
I'm grateful to you and all you do, Paul. Thank you.
Okay. And here's the call to action. And I decided to share this as well. If today's episode resonated with you, grab a copy of Let's Be Peace. In fact, while you're at it, grab two copies. 20 unique paths to healing yourself and spreading peace in the world. It's more than a book. It's a roadmap to a more compassionate and connected world. You can connect with Karen Lee Cohen and learn more about her work at her website, letsbepeace.com. Go there, provide your email, and get those tips, and that will be a starting point for you. And if you want more, you can also get that from Karen as well. And go to her social media sites, which I will post in the show notes. And remember, wealth is more than just money, it's about living with purpose, peace, and passion. Until next time, I'm Paul Lawrence Vann, encouraging you to lead with peace and to be the change you wish to see with the help of Karen Lee Cohen. Karen, thank you so much. And it was a joy to interview you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great evening, everyone, and a great day. And I'll see you on the next episode of Wealth Academy Podcast. And go out there to Apple Podcasts and provide a 5-star review, 5 stars and a review for Karen Lee Cohen because she has more to say and it's going to be all about that joy. So have a great day and thank you so much.